we're roughly the same as what our competitors are, but what we offer, even on the digital side of what we do, that no one else does because we do that differently. The clients who value it really value it. We're working on projects in the Middle East now for mega cities that they're building, and they're designing festival grounds from scratch.
Mark, welcome to the pod.
Thank you very much.
We reunite after what? We won't say how many years. Many years.
It's a long time. It's a long time. I was actually back there recently and had a similar conversation across the room looking at a fella going, did we know each other way back then? And he actually, I was thinking it, he came to me and went, you were here when I was here. We overlapped slightly. I'm like, yeah. I love that now though, because you meet people everywhere.
UL is, we're talking about University of Limerick. It's an unbelievable spot.
And we say that, I'm from Ballinasloe originally, and we always used to say that so many people from Ballinasloe ended up in UL. Now I'm in my 40s, I'm seeing that so many people from UL ended up everywhere, and we meet them everywhere.
Weird. Why UL? Because it was a big Tip thing. Obviously, I'm from Tip. Tip, Clare, Cork, Kerry was UL. I thought a lot of people went to...
I think they did, but I know in the years, we used to get buses, say, from Ballinasloe at the weekend on the Sunday night to go back. Our joke was nearly every year there was an extra bus up outside Hayden's Hotel heading for UL on a Sunday evening. Yeah. It was a big thing. Don't ask me why. Maybe they had good outreach to the secondary schools in Ballinasloe, but an awful lot of us ended up down there.
It's an unbelievable college, and I was back there literally 2 weeks ago, and like the whole other side of the river built out now. Yeah. Like I've never seen a college build out with such strategy and such like planning. It's incredible.
There's purpose to it. I went back recently for the opening of the new student centre.
Ah, yes.
Which is a phenomenal building, actually. But again, and I'm back regularly. We do a bit of work back there, so I kind of get to see it more than maybe a lot of people who left it. But still, every time you go back, like, that used to be a piece of grass. Now you've put a new building, and like there is a purpose to that college, and there always was. And in the work we do now, I've been to lots of the other universities and colleges. I've seen them, the ones who think they're the best or bigger or better. I've never seen a college close to UL in this country for that kind of purpose you're talking about, and that development and that focus. I love the place. I love Limerick as a city. But UL, I mean, I'll nearly do work back there that we'll make no money on. So some of us get to go back to Limerick.
Don't tell them that. They're going to be listening.
They kind of know that already. They know we're cheap when we go back there.
No, I love going back. Like I do a lot of work at Roisin Lyons and Stephen Kinsella down there.
Yeah.
Just great people.
Stephen's great, isn't he?
But they care so much.
Yeah.
But they're so, again, like you have done a lot of work in colleges, like Roisin and Stephen they think like private industry.
Yeah.
They're pushing forward at such a pace, and they're testing like the immersive software engineering so fast. They're evolving that so quickly.
And that's not common.
Not common.
It should be. It makes sense. We're now saying it out loud and we go, that should be normal. It's not normal.
No, it's not.
To have academics and people in that environment who think more or half at least like private industry. We work with a lot of the event management courses in the different colleges. And again, largely because one key person or maybe two key people there get it. They understand that the importance of that link, and not just training them on theory, but having them understand the world of events. And because those key people are leading those courses, those students get a wildly better experience than potentially the course without that one person. As usual, it's one or two people are the key to everything working well, you know?
It is. So how did you get into events?
How did I get into events? UL is probably the answer. And we didn't plan this, but UL is the answer, I guess. Went there in 1999. Had been doing security work in a nightclub at home. I was a lifeguard as well, as a reasonably big guy. So got into security at home. And then we went to UL, and was it Freshers? It was Rag Week. Rag Week, there was a Frames gig. Remember the Frames gig when they used to play? Oh, no great time for Glenn himself, but Frames as a band were amazing. So there was a Frames gig. That's a different story. There was a Frames gig, and it was just really busy. It was packed, and some people started falling down, and myself and some mates were close by just helping them back up and whatever. And that was the vibe of the gig. It was people kept falling over. It was that kind of thing. It was a great gig. So we were helping people up, and then there was some of the people working security spotted us and kind of thanked us or whatever. And then at the end of the night, a great guy, Keith Piggott, who I know very well now, he was running the events at the time, came out and said, "What, your story?" I'm like, "Oh, we're first years." Said, "Right, you're all working now for the week." And I think there was three of us he said it to, and one of the lads went, "No, I'm on the beer for the week, thanks, but no thanks." And I kind of went, "I bought tickets." He goes, "I'll give you your money back." Okay. and what are you going to pay me? He told me. I went, so you're going to pay me to be at the gigs? He goes, yeah. I went, well, I'm in. And the other guy with me, Cormac, said, yeah, I'm in. And then that morphed very quickly to, within a year or two, I was kind of running that the ENTS crew, as it was called, that kind of safety and security team that worked. It was kind of students minding students was the vibe.
Well, two mates of mine, Dave Devery and Steve Starr, used to do it.
Oh God, you're mates with Dave. I forgot that. Yeah.
I love how you say that.
Yeah, he was my IT guy.
I'm gonna clip that and send it to him.
Until very recently, he sold out of the business, didn't he? But he was our IT support for years until he sold out of the business. Great guy.
It's a small world. Like
it is a small world, and we actually didn't know that before we started talking. But so I ended up again involved in the events over the years. I was there and largely running that team and getting more involved in safety and security, which probably explains why I am where I am now. But it was around the time licensing for doormen, for bouncers came in. And we were, if I recall correctly, and someone will keep me honest here, I'm sure, when this goes out, but I'm pretty sure we were the second group of people in the country to get that license, that new security license. The Students' Union paid for it. They saw the value in getting the training for the team, or I convinced them one way or the other that happened. And then I was sitting on, maybe 20 to 30 young people who were trained, gave a crap, liked keeping people safe at events. And that's when concerts and festivals started to build during the summer here. So I found out who was doing the security for them, made a call. There were a company called Sword in Galway, rang them and went, I have a team of like 20 or 30 here. Here's what we do in the college. Obviously summertime, there's no college gigs. So I don't know, do you need... And I remember Owen at the time, again, I know him a lot better since, but he goes, hold on a minute. And he put me on speaker and he called someone over or whatever. And he says, say that again. And I told him again, I said, about 20 or 30 people, we just got qualified, very, they're experienced for college gigs, which is probably the demographic you'll be dealing with. Just in case there's any work there, I said, I'd let you know. And they were like, how soon can you come to Galway and meet with us? And I did. And
so you were kind of chancing your arm. You were like,
yeah.
Is there a bit, were you like, there's a business here, or you're just trying to make a few quid for the summer?
Well, I was just trying to get a bit of work for everyone else and myself. But the idea was, look, we're all trained now. Everyone fancies handy money during the summer when you're in college. Festivals were starting to happen. So someone is looking for people like you guys. So I said, is this interesting to anyone? And they went, yeah. So talked to Sword. A lot of us did a lot of work that summer and subsequent summers. Some of it still worked there. Some went on to work with them full time.
So they contracted you out, was it? Or
they brought us in. And because we were a team that kind of knew each other, understood, this is going to sound silly now, but like understood radio comms, understood working as a team, we'd kind of often arrive to the shows and it was nearly like, where do you and your team, where do you want to go and just look after? And we'd either do VIP or we would do the pit. Like for Eminem in Punchestown, he did 2 gigs in a row and we went, we're doing the pit. We're going to be tired, but we're doing the pit. That's going to be so much fun.
That was an experience.
It was amazing.
Really?
And, yeah, it was amazing. And one day there was scorching sunshine and the other day it was lashing rain. They were widely different for different reasons, but an amazing experience. And about 12 or 14 of us went in, guys and girls, and we ran that pit and loved it. So eventually I left Limerick, rang my mother and went, I'm going to go to Dublin and do a postgrad in PR and events. Now, planning to work in PR. Well, like events was tagged on the end here. It was a PR thing, really. And she went, you're not leaving Limerick. You love Limerick. I went, I'm definitely leaving. Now that you've said that, I'm definitely going. So I came up here, did that. And part of that was a placement. But I had gone to, it was the Fitzwilliam I did it with. And I had said, look, if I get a real job, does that tick for you guys, is it one less person to worry about? And does it tick that box for the course? And they're like, yeah, that'd be brilliant. So I got a job, media buying and planning. Loved it. And they ticked the box for the course. They didn't have to find me a placement of one less person. That was fine. And then I got a call from a mate of mine about 4 months into that job that went, have you seen the job in DIT? TU Dublin now, but was DIT. I went, what job? And I went, so it's for the Students' Union. It's called an events and marketing manager. So it's like the event stuff you did in UL and marketing, which is what you studied. I was doing business in UL. So they're like, surely that's a job for you. Well, it's definitely a job worth going for sure. And I went for that and I got that. So I was about 6 years then running events for the Students' Union and DIT and doing the marketing stuff. So basically you're the only function in there to bring in money. You get capitation from the college, but after that, anything, we were the only department that was kind of there that
planning and executing events.
Yeah. And trying to make money because all the other departments needed to spend for stuff, proper stuff for students. But again, loved it, but it is difficult to be the event function in an organization that isn't an event company. Because bottom line, if you're promoting a show or putting a show on, it's inherently a risk. So I spent my life in meetings going, yes, there's a risk. I spend 20 grand on Calvin Harris and nobody goes. Theoretically, that is a risk. It's not going to happen. But yes, I have to spend that 20
Worst
grand
case scenario, yeah.
So it's hard for people who don't work in events to understand that, which I fully understood. But over time, that just becomes harder to keep having the conversation. And as you know, with students' unions and colleges, a lot of the faces you're explaining it to change annually, and you're like,
they're elected every year.
It can just get draining. So I was always looking at something else, or what will I do? And there was a guy who was a supplier to me at the time, Martin Cullen. He used to book some DJs and stuff off him. He worked for an agency in Dublin. And we'd always done that thing where you say, we'd work really well together. Like, we should do something someday. And now, when I tell this story, I look back. I never said that with too many people, actually, but I think it's a thing. We've all encountered that person, probably. And then the London Olympics were happening. I had been asked by Sword, that same company in Galway that did all the security. They were doing some safety and security work for the Olympics, and they had asked me, would I go? I had just moved from the college to a new job, running a thing in the city, an agency for a guy. And I didn't want to disappear for a few months. I felt that was bad form. So I turned it down a couple of times. And then Martin rang.
I was like, that's a hard one to turn down.
No, it is. But I had only just started with Johnny and the team, and I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to go and say, look, I need a month or two off. I didn't want to do that to him. So I had turned it down a few times, and I was now a good few months in that job or whatever. And then Martin rang one day and went, no pressure, but I've left the lads. I've left what I was doing. So if you do want to do something, we could maybe talk. And I had like a 5-minute conversation with him outside that office. And I went back in and I asked Johnny, I said, can I have a chat? And we popped down to the boardroom and he says, you're leaving, aren't you? And I went, I think I have to. And I told him, I said, look, this Olympics thing I've been kind of saying no to. And there's this thing now with Martin, and I think I need to do it.
You made the decision that fast?
Yeah.
It's within 5 minutes?
Yeah. And I normally don't move that fast, by the way. Anyone listening to this, I'll tell you, Pete doesn't. He's slow to move on stuff. But yeah, that it just made sense. Everything lined up. And Johnny, I guess, had seen in me that was in me, and at some point I would need to run my own thing or something. So it didn't surprise him. Did
you want to run your own thing? Because you strike me as someone you've been adjacent to doing this all the time. You've run it, but you're subcontracted in. It's like you're always running your own thing.
I was always running my own thing. I guess I was always running my own thing or things alongside something that was solid and definitely paid bills and stuff. Like all the time I was in DIT, I was doing lots of work on the side, doing safety jobs at gigs and working those things during the summer and whatever. So I always had some of that going on. I was training lifeguards. I was in UL. I was a friend of mine I worked with in town. His father had a bus. Didn't know how to hire out buses or make money on his bus, but loved getting out with the dog. So I was involved in clubs and societies. So I was like, Tony has a bus, not looking for mad money, just likes getting out and about with the dog. All the clubs and societies regularly need buses. Surely there's money to be made here and everyone gets a cheaper bus. And Paul Lee down there in Clubs and Socks still laughs about this because that's what I did. So anytime anyone wanted a minibus, they'd come to me, I'd make a few quid, I'd get Tony to do it. Tony only delighted to do it, get the dog out for the day, and the clubs or society paid.
So the dog went with him?
Yeah.
You said that like that's a normal thing. Like my dog goes in most places with me, but like most people think I'm crazy when I rock up and have the dog with me.
Yeah, no.
So the dog went with him, and
this was his thing. So the conversation I'd have to have with a club
co-pilot, like
yeah. So the conversation I had to have with a club or society, go, look, this is Tony. He's a bit mad, and he'll bring his dog, but the bus is sound
man.
Yeah. And then everyone, and it worked for everyone.
I love that.
So, and I can look back now. Yeah. So there was always stuff I was doing on the side, but I always had the job. There was always a job that paid the bills and whatever. Yeah, my mother even jokes that I was always destined to do something for myself. But for me, I wasn't in a rush. It needed to be the right time. Things needed to line up. So this felt like the Olympics thing, Martin being free now. I only ever said to him, we would work well together because I firmly believed it. And there was one other thing. There was a show in the UK. It was called Paint Glow. So essentially like a foam party, but it's firing paint from cannons and stuff. So I had been watching that. I'd gone over to have a look at it because I thought maybe I'd buy the rights for Ireland and there might be some business there. And then Martin came and said, we do something. And I went, I think we should do something. I think we should get this much money together immediately, buy this show, bring it to Ireland, and with your contacts in clubs, normal clubs around the country, and with mine in the colleges, I think we'll get good bookings for that immediately and get some traction there.
So you were starting an events company?
Pretty much, yeah. But with a solid idea on one product we thought would work.
Okay, so you could have some sort of ownership. You weren't
and to get
just
that,
like, waiting for the phone to ring.
To get that immediate traction.
Okay.
And because Martin had been booking stuff for all the clubs I never heard of in every town around the country, he had all those connections.
Okay.
And I had the colleges, and I'm thinking Freshers Week, Rag Weeks, this paint party, there'll be a lifetime on it. It'll be a novelty for a while and it'll go away. But it could get us in the door for lots of things. And Martin had never heard of a paint glow anything. He said, makes sense. Okay, let's do it. So that was the 5-minute conversation. And then we set up what was called Cuckoo Events at the time, 2012. And we were a full service event company. So again, we could be dressing the ballroom in the Burlington, or we could be doing a paint glow party, or we could be writing documentation to give into a council so someone could run an event and shut down some streets. And that's how it all, so that was 2012, as Cuckoo Events it was called at the time.
How did the first kind of 6 to 12 months go? Because they're always the ones that really test you.
It was actually okay because that show worked as I thought it would. So we got good bookings, we got good traction, we built off the back of it. Don't get me wrong, it was Martin and I kind of full-time, and a couple of friends and colleagues kind of, when the work was there, they were helping us as well. They were really good. Still friends with them, they still work with us. They helped us build at the start as well. But again, it was small, slowly, catchy monkey. The market in Ireland for events is small anyway. For event companies, it's fairly small. If you only operate in Ireland, you'll only probably get to a certain size. And at the time, I had no specific aspirations to do anything internationally. I was just going to, let's build this and see where we go with it. And we had spotted problems in the industry that Martin and I felt were problems no one was fixing and that we could just do better, and that might work for us. From my perspective, and I think Martin knows this, so even if he hears this, it won't be a shock to him. I could see in Martin that he was really good at stuff that didn't come naturally to me or that I wasn't good at. He's incredibly personable. People just immediately like him. And I don't think I have that. And I could see that in Martin. And then he just had this network of connections that I didn't have either. So if I was to just sit and look at it strategically and write it all down, there was loads of reasons Martin and I got into business together. But essentially, we liked each other, we got on well. And whether his thought process is the same as mine, he could see in me things that I did that he didn't know how to do.
Is that why you partner with someone? You didn't just start up on your own?
I think so for me, yeah, because I'm going to say a stupid thing. I have a level of self-awareness that's high. It doesn't mean I can always fix what I see in myself, if that makes sense. So I knew I could write down the things I was good at and bad at. And if I saw the things I was bad at available in someone else who I liked spending time with, was a good guy and wanted to work with me, this just makes perfect sense. So
it's the smartest way to do it, I think. As I've got older, I think, it's weird you brought it up today. Someone brought it up yesterday in the pod, and I was like, it's smart. Just bring in a finance person, bring in a HR person, bring in the person for safety. Like, don't keep, I think as you get older as well, you're kind of like, speed's important now.
Yeah.
I need to hurry up a little bit. Yeah. And what's the quickest way to point B? I think some people intuitively have it like you. I think you kind of intuitively go, this makes sense to bring in experts, because you were from that industry of like, what, you bring in the safety person, you bring in the events person, you bring in the security person, kind of logic.
No, it made sense. Now here's the thing with me as well. Like, I trust my gut. I trust myself all the time. So in what we do now, we do it differently to everyone else. That won't suit all potential clients, but it's the way we want to do it. It works for the clients we want to work with, and we're doing okay. But like, I get it from my parents, but I trust my instincts. So sometimes I can't explain it. Sometimes I'm not eloquent enough to get the words out, maybe, but I know the way I believe we should do a thing. Now, when it's just me and Martin or a couple of other staff, that's easy enough to run with. And that's how I run the business, and that's fine. When you've got 25 full-time like we do now, others on contract, loads of freelancers, it's you can't really stay operating that way. There has to be a bit more structure. There has to be a bit more sense behind it. At the very least, and by the way, I'm not good at this. This is the self-awareness I'm talking about. I can tell you how I should be doing it. I can also tell you I'm only starting to kind of get there. At the very least, people need to know what's in my brain. They need to know why we're doing it that way, or the way I need to articulate the way we're going to do it, rather than people have to maybe figure it out. And I'm only getting better at that now that we've more and more staff. I'm going, other people need to understand what's going on in my head. We have I call her a HR lady. She's a fancier title, and she's far more important than a HR function that works with us, Danielle. And Danielle one time I forget what the decision even was, but we were under pressure for a decision I couldn't be gotten hold of for whatever reason. And Danielle made a call. And then the following Monday, whatever, it was a weekend thing, I was away or whatever. And then the following Monday we get to talk about it. And I was like, tell me why you did that. And she told me. And I went, all right, I see the logic in that. And she goes, what would you have done? And we talked it through, and I went, so I would have done it slightly differently. But I fully understood her logic, which is what's important to me. You have to have a rationale for why you do what you do. And she goes, what would you have done? And I told her. And she goes, okay, that's slightly different, but it's not miles away. I went, no, you're dead right. And she said something to me, and I always misquote her, but it was something like, look, I made a call. It wasn't exactly what you did, but did I fuck up the company? No. And I went, do you know what? Not everything needs to be centered on me and the way I would exactly do it. If Danielle knows me well enough to be able to get in my head and get roughly pretty much what I would do, and it's not going to ruin the company, so that's the help I need. They are the people I need. And I need them to know they have that leeway. Everyone in there knows me really well. They'll second guess me very accurately. And there's great power in that for someone who trusts himself as much as I do, wants to run a business my own way, for better or worse. If it goes well, thanks for the clap on the back. If it goes bad, I've no one to blame but myself. How do I do it differently? But I like that locus of, it's my fault, or it's my success, or me and Martin, or whatever. It's very centered.
What were the couple of key things you did in the early days? Because obviously you kind of mentioned there you've gone from 4 to 25.
Yeah.
What were the couple of key things? Obviously you did the paint glow. What were the other key things you did to establish yourself in an industry? Is it you go from event to event, or are you locked in with a company for a year? Or how does the whole space work?
It's when you do the safety function for events, which is pretty much what we do now predominantly. There are ongoing clients. We sign multi-year deals with certain clients. Most stuff it's probably once off. Now, the same marketing agency might come back 2 or 3 times a year, depending on what contracts they win. So you could be busier with one client one year than another year, but it is kind of, oh, this has come up, oh, that has come up. And then you'll have a few, or we have a few at least, kind of ongoing annual clients that we've worked with on multi-year deals for 10 years, 12 years, whatever. Dublin Zoo, Dublin Pride, stuff like that we've worked at for years. And they're multi-year deals. To go back to your initial question, the absolute smartest thing we ever did in the first half of our life in business was our first full-time hire. Before Martin and I were taking a wage, we committed to a full-time hire. A friend of mine that I worked with doing safety stuff on the side over the years, a lady named Mags, she's brilliant. She wanted to get out of doing the normal safety stuff she was doing day to day and wanted to just focus on the event stuff. And I was like, we're not even paying ourselves, but this opportunity to bring you in-house and add the clients that you had and add the relationships that you had to help build what I'm trying to build here made perfect sense. And we did that with Mags, and she was with us for years. And we grew by maybe 1 person, 2 people during that time. We were still small, but Mags was bringing her in. And to be honest, the instinctive understanding that I guess we had that it was the right move for us. Like, it's a big thing financially. Martin and I weren't taking any regular money. We would take it as we did it. Martin's a DJ as well, so he was still DJing a lot, just so he didn't have to try and pull money out of the business for the first few years. So committing to a wage, and she was a friend of mine. She had a child. There was a mortgage there. In hindsight, I get that it was a big thing for lots of angles. For us, it just made absolute sense for what we were trying to build. It would work for Mags. It would work for us. And she was with us for a few years until she left, pretty much because she got an offer to go somewhere else. We couldn't match it at the time. And it was now less, it was more 9 to 5 than what our events world is. And that's what suited her at that time. I'd love if she was still with us. And I'd love if I could have matched the offer at the time to give her a decision to make, but we couldn't. But it was easily the smartest thing we did. I don't know if she'll hear this, but it was easily the smartest thing we did in the early years of business, for sure.
And then in terms of like, because it sounds like it's quite a infrequent business. So how did you get over that little hump of then going from the three of you with Mags? Like what were was there kind of like turning points where you're like, okay. Because usually it's like you tweak, and you're like, this is how we make repeatable revenue.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing for us, one of the first times that I went, I think we're definitely okay here, we're onto something, even if we never got bigger, was 2015, which I guess, 3 years into business. That was the year of the marriage referendum. We got an opportunity to go speak to the folks at Dublin Pride. They wanted help. It was going to be a big year for Dublin Pride, one way or the other, right? So it was either going to be a massive celebration, or maybe it was going to be more of a protest thing. But either way, Dublin Pride was going to happen, and they realised it was going to be on a scale that they probably needed more help to run it. So it was Mags and I actually went and pitched to them and met with them and spoke to them. And for us, the value of that as a contract at the time would have been one of our bigger contracts. It was a good gig for us to land. And we came out of it. This has only happened, I think, twice in my business life, where I've literally come out of a meeting with a potential client. And in that instance, Mags turned to me and went, "How do you think that went?" And I went, "We have that." I'm like, "We suit them. I know who our competitors are. I know who they're probably talking to. I think we suit them better." And that's happened one other time, and it was Dublin Zoo, actually. Walked out of a meeting. It was also at Mags at the time. And we went, "We suit them." And I know who we don't suit. And I know our competitors, and I know the gigs they suit better than we do. And they were two where we walked out the door and went, "Nah, that has to be us. Surely that has to be us." And both of them worked. But the Dublin Pride one, that was 2015. It was a big task. It was a lot of work. We did it well enough to still be working with them, and renewed a few multi-year deals and stuff with them. And the same with Dublin Zoo. So I think if you think we're still in the Irish market solely really at this stage. And 2017, we started with Dublin Zoo. Again, went hard to win that, because when you're nerdy about event safety and you love events like we do, when you get wind or you get an email or you get a call that says, "We want to run events in the dark in an operational zoo," you go, "Who does this?" And there must be all sorts of challenges we'll have to figure out. So I sat in the office, there was again 4 or 5 of us, and I went, "How much do we want this?" And they're like, "We want this." So I went, right, money-wise, I went in really solid. I went, I know where we fit money-wise. They're not going to get much better than this. So we got to convince them on the service they will get for that. And I'm like, because it's a long run of nights and stuff, there's money to be made over time on
the lights of Dublin Zoo, right?
Yeah, Wildlight. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, this was specifically to help with Wildlight. So they'd come up with the idea. We did not come up with that idea. They had seen it somewhere else. The marketing manager at the time, Emma, had seen it. Dublin Zoo were looking to do something in the winter to make money.
Clever, to be fair.
100%, to put back into all the animal stuff. Like, they are fully focused on the animals. Wildlights exist to make money, to build a new habitat, or to fix this or whatever. So that was the vibe. And they knew they would need help to run this thing properly and safely or whatever. We went hard to get it, and we got it. And again, no joke, I could show you the email. I walked out of that meeting, and Mags and I looked at each other and went, "That has to be us. It has to be. Surely, that it couldn't have gone better. Like, those people think like us. We had a great time. That's us." And they had said, "Look, we're meeting a few other companies, whatever, the usual. You'll know next week or whatever." I met someone for lunch that day. So give a pause of an hour and a half. By the time I got back to the office, we had an email from them going, "We want to work with you. Let's do this." And that was a big thing for us. Because again, small company, but this is now, it was about 50 nights of shows. Wow. And then it's a bit more now, but I mean, it's a big run. It's the back end of the year. Not a huge amount going on in the event industry. So we knew we could get the best freelancers as well. And we knew there was a few quid to be made there. But more importantly, it would challenge us. It would be fun. It would help build us as a company. It would get a reputation out there that we can do the interesting, weird stuff.
So how does it work? Like, what do you do for this? Like, what are you in charge of? Because, and when we were chatting about over coffee, you kind of said, the best events, it shouldn't seem like we're there. It shouldn't seem like there's a big deal going on that we had to put loads of work in. So what do you do for something like that? Like, talk me through how you set up for like an event like that, whereby what is it that you're involved in? And then on a nightly basis, what is it that happens?
Okay, so if let's take Dublin Zoo as the example then. It's an easy enough example from our perspective. First thing to say is, internationally, we just do safety, right? Safe Events Global is the brand. We only do safety in the international markets. In Ireland, we started as Cuckoo, as an event company. So for some of our legacy clients, we do more than just the safety, right? So Dublin Brides, Dublin Zoo, we're pretty much a full service event management company. So we're not just focused on safety. So for the zoo, I mean, we've been in the zoo now for months for this year's Wild Lights because things are being built, they're being designed, the stuff has come from China, the Chinese artists are all here now, they're building things. So we're an event company that specializes in safety, okay? Which I don't say we're an event, we're a health and safety company for events. We're event people first. So we love events and we just specialize in safety, which might be a tiny distinction if you're not us. If you're us in our niche, it's a massive distinction because we're not a safety company who saw an opportunity in an event industry. We were here first and then we specialize in safety. So we get it. We love events. We want to do crazy stuff. So when you have the safety people going, no, we like what you're trying to do there. Let's try and figure it out for you. That works really well. So when you're a zoo with loads of animals, a lot of other challenges, and you want to run an event safely, starting with event people who love events and want to make it happen as well, not just safety people, works well. So we do everything for them on a nightly basis. So we work with them to build it. We work with them to make sure all the installations are safe. We work with Irish contractors to make sure electrics are safe, all that kind of stuff. Desi was in there this week because we were doing a lot of big lifts with cranes. Some of the big stuff that you see in the zoo for Wild Lights obviously has to be craned in. That's a big operation. Where can the crane go safely? What ground can support it? What size crane do we need to lift the thing? How are we lifting it? There's all of that. What we like to say is we do the construction safety. You probably picture hard hats, high vises, all that. And then we also do crowd safety. So helping them design the flow. How many people can we fit? How will they flow through the space? Let's not put that exhibit there because it's going to create a bottleneck. We'll move it over here. It'll flow better. All of that kind of stuff. So on a nightly basis, then we have a minimum of 3 staff in there. To get to the bit we talked about over coffee, where we don't want you to know we're there really. We have something the public will never see. We have a base in there. We have an event control. We have a person called an event controller who's in there every night, making decisions, making calls, running that show. And we will have 2 safety people out on the ground. Now, when I say you don't see us, they're in high vis because the gig is at night. You might need to see us if we need to move you or whatever.
But they're not impeding with the experience.
No, the experience.
The invisible hand guiding you through.
I like that. We're the invisible hand. There's a thing in the industry where we talk about crowd management versus crowd control. This is getting a bit technical. Crowd management is where we want to live, right? We've designed a space where the crowd are managed because of the way we've designed it. We've gotten a load of risks out at the design stage. We haven't built the dead end. We've avoided the dead end. So you should be able to come in as a punter and enjoy it. Families should go to Wild Lights and enjoy that show seamlessly. And it should flow the way we've designed it. We only want to get into crowd control, which is the overt thing where we're in your face going, sorry, we need you to go this way. That's now closed. We've had an issue, whatever. We plan for it. We're ready for it, but we don't want to do it. We want to live in management rather than control. And when you've got good security suppliers and stuff, they will do the piece for you when it comes to control. But we want to manage it and design it in such a way that 9 times out of 10, you just go to the show, you enjoy it, and you go home.
Is it tough, though, because of the binary nature of safety? Like if something goes wrong, it's very wrong, right? It's not kind of like, it was okay, things happen. But if something goes wrong in safety, it's a big, big issue. So how do you think about that? And what are the kind of issues you've had when something's gone majorly wrong?
I mean, it can be a big issue. But remember, we can have small things go wrong that have the potential to be bigger, but we deal with them. Like you've never been at a show. The best shows you can remember ever being to in Ireland or wherever, things went wrong at them. You just didn't know. And as a customer, you shouldn't know. And that's okay. We are always dealing with stuff. Things are always going wrong. We have backup lighting systems in the zoo. Without you ever realizing, a load of lights could be down. The generators are now powering them and we're all trying to get the back onto normal power. Loads of things are always happening behind the scenes, as with any business. I talked to someone about this recently. At the end of the day, I spend a lot of money on insurance. We spend a lot of money to train our people. That's what helps me sleep at night. If you were to just look at our business externally and go, right, Mark travels to the Middle East with a team of 600 or 60 people to work on a show for 500,000 people. And if anything goes wrong there, I'm the top of the tree for safety on that show. So if anything goes wrong, it's coming to me. And that's true. And even if you don't think of the Middle East, if you just think of here, families, Christmas time, in the zoo, something happens, someone gets hurt, they're all looking at the safety people. We get that. But we don't obsess over that. We deal with it. We head it off at the pass. We train well. We involve the best people. We plan as best we can. We're always upskilling. We're very good at what we do. And then we don't worry too much after that. Because if things go to plan, perfect. If they don't go to plan, we've thought of a lot of things that can go wrong, and we have backups or we have contingencies. I mean, at the end of the day, you put 250,000 people through Dublin Zoo in the dark, someone will probably twist an ankle. You know what I mean? So you're not gone horribly wrong. But again, that can have, this hasn't happened in the zoo for the record, but that could have solicitors' letters coming in or whatever. You're dealing with people. Things will happen. It doesn't mean they're our fault though.
People are mental though. Someone steals a penguin.
Yeah.
People are crazy, right? So you can have all the plans in the world, but people are crazy, right?
100%.
People do weird things.
Yeah.
You put never mind 250,000, you put 100 people in the room. There's one lunatic.
Yeah.
So what's the weirdest situation you've been put in at an event where you're like, how did they even think to do that?
It's funny, speaking of UL, there was a lecturer in UL that I had back in the day, and he used to always say he loved working in university, except when the students were there. Do you get me? Which always made me
think,
think,
events except when the people are there.
What sort of a dick are you? One of our project directors, great guy in the UK, Matt, always says, can we just build the thing? Can we make it? Take a picture, clap each other on the back. Don't let them in and just take it down again.
Don't let them ruin it.
Don't ruin it. So you're right. Look, there's no business without people, right? But yes, they'll always surprise us. You can only plan so well for them. And it comes back to a thing we have in our business. We call it people plus process. So we have the plans, we have the processes, we have a whole digital side to what we do. I have a full-time 6-person digital operations department in the UK. And if I just left that with you, you'll never probably figure out why I would need a digital operations department. We do things differently, but everything about what we do is either focused on people or process. Our processes are they're not easy, but they're more straightforward to nail. We can have good systems, good plans, all of that. The people are the key. Our people to manage all those crazy people you're talking about. I have to trust that the people we put on the show, fully capable, they'll get it, they'll figure it out. They are the absolute key. Loads of people want to work in events. We put up posts, we're going international, we're working on Formula 1 in Qatar at the minute. Here's a job, do you want it? Hundreds of people want the job. The realistic pool that can do it and I can trust. Normally I will be stuck in an event control room, right? I say stuck because I resent it slightly, but it's a key part of what we do. I'll be in there helping other people run that show, watching on cameras, talking to all the departments. That's usually where I am. If you're taking on responsibility for that in the zoo or for Dublin Pride or for a show in the Middle East, I have to trust all the people on the ground. And I have to genuinely trust them and not lose sleep. I can't have a half good team. I have to think I have the best people and that they can change the plan on the fly because of what they're seeing.
So what are the things people do at events? You're kind of going, this is mental. Like, is it alcohol? Is it drugs? Is it just people losing the run of themselves? What is it at events where you're like?
It can be lots of things. I mean, you add alcohol in, who knows? I worked doors in Limerick long enough to know what alcohol can do to people. People will always surprise you. They will always do the crazy stuff. We've had a show where a call came into event control wanting to know what's our policy on camels. I was like, what do you mean, what's our policy on camels? They're like, Mark, someone's got a camel. But we're in the Middle East. There's loads of camels. No. As someone has ridden the camel, they're in a car park with the camel. It's their transport.
Where do we park the camel?
What do we do with the camel? Like, okay. So we figure that out as best we can. And then we have that's the first night one of a festival, and we all meet afterwards. And the festival director comes in and goes, right, so the camel thing, like, what do we do? What did we do? And we said, well, look, your man, like he had a ticket and everything. It was all legit, except it's an unusual form of transport. But you know, we're out here in the Middle East. We have people on the teams who kind of understand camel. Well, so we looked after his camel. We brought him to where we would keep the camel. He tied up the camel. We got food for the camel. The camel's fine. He went home on the camel. I don't know what else we would or done.
We now have a camel policy.
100%. We now have a camel policy.
If that was at loan, it'd be more an interesting story.
It'd be a bit weirder in that loan. But, and again, his thing was, perfect. That's exactly what we do. Like, we make it work. And thank you. Because again, when you're the festival director for a massive festival, you're not sitting in event control all the time. You have all of us there to try and do that stuff for you. So like, that is what we do. People, we try and make it work for everyone. Again, we like the challenge. We still tell that story. We like that. People will always ignore whatever they've been told. They'll ignore the signs. You will have spent, we have departments on some shows in charge of signage and communication. And they're the best in the world. And they'll have planned it beautifully. And it should work. And it won't work. Because people don't see it or they ignore it or whatever. So the people, again, are the key. You can design all this stuff and it can look great on paper, and it is great on paper, and it will win awards for design. And then you watch how people use it and you go, they're not. We've worked on a show where year one, they didn't want much signage. They wanted it to be this voyage of discovery for the attendees. And we were all on board with this. Like, as a branding exercise, we understood what they were doing. The creative matched it. It made sense. This will be lovely. But you discover after night one, there's certain areas of the festival that are bloody amazing. They're not getting to. Like, why aren't they getting there? But they don't know they're there because we've not put signage up.
That's the thing. You can be too cute.
Yeah. So we fixed the cuteness to a degree that first year, and then creative changes direction and go, right, we can't rely on that discovery thing. Because they see one big stage, like, oh, that's where the party is, we're staying here. It's a human thing. So again, over the years, that festival has moved to far more signage, make sure people know where they're going, because these areas are offering different things. And so much work goes into planning it and creating this experience. The thought that there was an amazing thing over there and 80% didn't get to see it. That'll kill the people who put their heart and soul into designing that area. And the punters don't know what they missed out on. So then you can be too cute.
The airport is always the one that I kind of go, God, humans are crazy. It's like people's first day on Earth. Yeah. They just go into the airport and they've forgotten everything they've ever learned. Sometimes I'm looking at people going, how did you even get here?
There should be, there should be a whole different area if it's not even your first time.
If you're flustered, that's the flustered line.
Go there.
Go.
If you haven't been through an international airport more than 5 times, please go this way. And we understand that. We'll look after you. We know that you'll ask about your shoes. Do I take my laces out? You'll be taking off 17 items of jewelry.
Or none. People go through.
Why do people go to the airport in the first place, knowing they have to go through security, wearing stuff they have to take off? Like, I'll wear shoes that fly off in case they want my shoes off. I'll wear pants I don't need a belt with because I want my experience to be faster and seamless. People just...
I was going to London a few weeks ago for the pod, and the person in front of me, the bag was brought across. You didn't have to take out liquids anymore, but the bag was brought across. Your man opened it. 20 bottles of shampoo.
like this.
What?
This doesn't fly.
He's like... He was just so, usually they're like, what do I even everything say? Out of the bags, usually they're so like on the ball, but he was just like, why? He just was just so bemused.
There's a story there. In fairness though, my wife did remind me one time, we're having, obviously in the queue in the airport, we're having a similar conversation. She'd go, for some people, the law of averages, like for some people, it is literally their first time flying. Yeah. Look around. Some of these people haven't been through this before. So you have to have a little bit of patience. But the essence of the point is right. People, we can plan for them, we can know them, we can have all of the experience with them, we can know the type of audience that come to this show, the type of audience that come to that show. I still have to have really good people working on the show to deal with the randomness. Lost kids are a huge thing. And I'm a parent now, and I understand what a parent goes through when they've lost a kid.
Imagine anything worse.
So for years we've been doing this thing, right? The lost child wristbands or vulnerable person wristbands. They're just Tyvek paper wristbands, right? But you write your phone number on them. And we invest in these every year. We buy 50,000 to 100,000. We send them all around the world. You just apply through a form. We'll pay the postage. They cost you nothing. But most we'll give you is probably a couple of thousand because we want to spread the love. I don't want a promoter who makes money off gigs taken 20,000 off. So we're a little picky if it's a community event, volunteer event, and like that. Send them all around the world, simply because it's a tiny way we can help events we'll never be involved in be a little safer. And it costs us very little, but it can be a huge thing to a smaller event. Lots of events do their own now. The zoo do their own now. We used to give them some. And it's because, and we never did this before I had a child.
Great idea.
Well, it's a simple thing.
Yeah, it's so, but it's
impactful
simple because it works.
It helps. And I've never lost my child for too long. But like I've had little glimpses of
get in for too long.
Yeah, but you know the way you turn around and go, oh, she's still there.
Yeah.
Like, but it makes me understand that fear. I wouldn't wish my child is missing in this crowd on my worst enemy. And I mean that when I say it. So we thought, let's make these wristbands. What's the most it cost me in a year in postage all around the world? I don't know. My financial person would tell us. She hasn't told me to stop doing it yet. A part of our mission as a company is to help events we'll never be involved in. And that's one way we do it. We do a lot of video resources. We do blogs, whatever we can do. But that's a real tangible thing. We've sent them to Canada, Australia, places I've never heard of. Because you put enough people in a place, or as you said, maybe even only 100 people, things will go wrong. And they might go drastically wrong, or they might go a little bit wrong. Like that lost child impacts that family and maybe a few around them who see a little bit of panic as they look for their child. The majority of the people don't even know that happened. That could be our biggest thing that night. That could be what has us making loads of phone calls, blocking certain exits. We'll have a protocol that might have kicked in just because of that. And 3,000 people who enjoyed that show won't know it ever happened. So they'll go, oh, it was a great event. Nothing happened. We could have been run off our feet trying to find
I guess that's the biggest compliment you can get. It's a great event. Really flew.
100%.
And when you go to an event, you're like, oh, it just flowed really well.
Yeah.
You know, that's when you go to an event, you're like, oh, it just flowed really well. It's really nice. Yeah, there's no big queues. That's the big thing. Like events do seem to have two things. Got really, really popular and got much better. Like even after COVID, there was this thing, everything's going to be virtual. And the elastic band snapped back twice as hard. Everyone wanted to go to events because you couldn't. So like, what have you seen in the last couple of years where you're like, what trends are you seeing in the event space?
Well, there's push and pull with that. So the other side of it is promoters and the people organizing the events missed out on years of revenue. Okay, so there's the desire for it on both sides. And when that matches up, when the public want more and the promoter needs to do more because they've missed out on years of revenue they're trying to catch up on, that works quite well. I mean, I think everyone says it and everyone knows it. People want experiences. There's a market there for anything that's in person. I listen to the pod regularly, so I know some of the questions you ask at the end. And in thinking about one of them, I kind of had a similar point in my answer that just because broadly the world is moving one way or away from something doesn't mean there isn't still value in that something for some people. So I think as much as things go online and we deliver training, the fact that I can deliver training online expands my reach greatly, brings in extra revenue, all those beautiful good things. For the vast majority of what we do, I would much prefer to deliver it in person. It works better. It's just fact. I know that because I do it.
But I had this chat on Zoom.
100%.
Wouldn't be the same.
Wouldn't be the same. And as much as AI, similar, right? We use AI in the business. We harness it different ways. It's not going to fundamentally change what we do, but we will utilize it where it helps. But it doesn't mean that human interaction goes away. So as much as we can do loads of stuff online, and yes, during COVID, we all got used to stuff online, used to is not the same as enjoying. So I can accept that the best way for me to get trained by Mark in the thing I want to get trained in, because he's in Ireland and I'm in Australia, is I do it on Zoom. Simple value decision. I'll do that. Makes sense to me. Ideally, I'd love to do it in person, but it's great to have this option, and that's fine. But as soon as you do anything in person, most people really, really value it. I listened to that pod as well, The Rest is Entertainment with Richard Osman, and it's really good. But he makes the same point with AI taking over all the creative industries and all that fear. He's like, what it will always do and always happens is an element of that does happen. The people who value the in-person, the people who value the live now need it and want it more. So maybe the market shrinks, but the value within the market can grow. So people love experience now. Promoters can put on more events than they used to safe-ish if they program them and book them well, in the knowledge that most will work. And no promoter needs they'd love if every gig worked. But same as when I worked in DIT, if I'm running a freshers week or a rag week and I've got 12 gigs on, if I'm doing my job right, I need 9 of them to make
law
money.
Of averages is going to be a few turkeys. Yeah.
And maybe those 9 cover the other 3, and we know the other 3 won't pay for themselves, but they service this market, or we never do anything for those students. So we do that knowing that the Calvin Harris gig sells out, covers the cost of the trad night, because maybe there's less people into trad. So like there's this drive for in-person experiences, and I think people expect more from I say we broadly, industry, the people who organize events. We could get away with doing things in a lesser way previously. I think standards are higher now. People expect more. I see promoters putting a lot more focus on, we need 20 food carts. That's used to be how it is. I'll deal with Gary. Gary has 20 because he runs that market. I don't care what 20 he brings, just give me food. It's not like that anymore. They're picking, I want this, I want a pretzel guy, I want a pizza guy, I want that hot dog guy, because that all adds to that experience. People running events know it's not just about the main thing, which might be the act. It's all that ancillary stuff. People are now more inclined to put more toilets in. So one thing we advise people on, this many people can fit, you need that many toilets. And what we've been hearing a lot in the last few years is, you're saying I need 40 toilets, let's do 50. Because people are starting to understand, I can have the greatest gig in the world and book the best act in the world, but if I queue too long for the toilet, that's all I'm going to be on social media bitching about. Or for the bar. So again, we're seeing more staff at bars, and it's because we're beginning to understand what matters. And to be honest, there's more competition out there as well for our attention, and there are more events on.
It seems like there's a ton. Even this summer, I was looking around and go, wow, there's something on literally every night.
Well, if you look at the summer and even just take Dublin as an example, there's only so many weekends you can put stuff on in the summer. There's only so many weekends you might think the weather will be okay. There's so much on. And if you're the people who service the industry, the safety people, the electricians, the security companies, whatever, ask any of them. Like, the summers are becoming harder and harder, longer and longer, tougher and tougher, and things are overlapping all the time. I wouldn't want to be the other side of the table. I wouldn't want to be in the local authorities or in the police or the HSE or DFB, because how they manage resources on these busy weekends. And again, we're just talking about Dublin. I've no idea. Never mind around the rest of the country when it's that busy and there's stuff on all the time. Events should be within reason, and we do safety. So from a legal perspective, this idea of as far as reasonably practicable is a huge thing. Events should be as self-sufficient as possible. Like, yes, we should have our own medical cover. We shouldn't just go, we'll put 50,000 people here and sure, we'll ring an ambulance if we need one. That's not prudent. A risk assessment would never tell you to do that. We should have a certain level of cover. So for smaller things, we can deal with them. We're not a drain on public, HSE resources or DFP resources or anything. So there's a balance there all the time. And I think, especially since COVID, all parties seem to, I could be wildly off base, it's my own personal experience, everyone around the table for these big events seem to understand one another a bit better. We get where one another are coming from. Whether that's the local authorities or the statutory agencies or the clients or us, we all seem to pull together far more than used to be the case before COVID, where, we get a client, we build a plan for them, we try and convince the local authority, we try and convince the HSE. It doesn't feel like that anymore. There's far more, right lads, we're all here for the right reasons. It's a busy weekend. How are you going to make sure you're not our pain point that weekend? Tell us what you're planning. We'll give you a bit of advice. Hopefully we say yes to your license. Here it is. Off you go.
So you start from a place of yes aside from a place of no, this isn't going to happen.
And a lot of that comes with experience and relationships, to be fair. But COVID did flick some switches in the industry for sure.
How have you expanded beyond Ireland? Because now you're across the globe. Like, how have you done that? Because it seems like it's quite a personal-led business, as in personalities, relationships, but also like it's a physical business, right? Yeah. You can't just beam in from around the world to do safety. You can't be in the control room beaming in. So how have you expanded beyond Ireland? Because that is as I've watched your journey over the last couple of years, it's been really impressive, especially in the Middle East, to kind of watch you really grow.
Well, I'm sure most people who come in here tell you this. Like, some of it's luck, some of it's Yeah, Mark, you say it's luck, but if we trace back what you did, I get that. Some of it is by design, some of it's luck.
Oh, my voice was uncanny there.
Was it? Yeah. I thought that was you. I'm bad at impressions. But like, I get it. Like, I know we've made our own luck to a degree, but at the end of the day, we're very clear in our value proposition and how we do what we do, right? Whether that's in our website, our social activity, how we work on shows. We want everyone to understand, oh, those safety people as an option. I get them. I understand how they work. And then they can go, that suits me or that doesn't suit me. And if they decide it doesn't suit me, they won't waste their time and they won't waste my time. And that's perfect. Everybody wins there. So we're very clear in what we're like, how we work, what it might be like to work with us.
What is that, messaging? Is that
it's
like
messaging,
is how you portray yourself? Like, what do you mean?
It's our voice. It's the way we talk. It's the way we interact with people. It's, again, we fund courses and invite everyone into our head office to attend those courses. We now get to deal personally with people and make these relationships. It's us putting out free stuff on the internet just to give value all around the world to events we'll never see. People get our vibe. It mightn't matter to them. That's fine. But if it does matter to you, if you like that we're so invested in this industry, that we have invested in other companies in the industry, that we give out stuff for free, that we fund things for people, we put them on courses that we charge the guy beside them 1,300 quid for because we like the way you turned up and asked. We see potential in you. That's how we do what we do. If that matters to you, you're going to love us. If none of that matters to you and you just want the cheapest safety people, we're probably not going to win your business. So we're very clear on our proposition. We're very clear on, I think we are. We're getting better at even being clearer, but like, talk to me, talk to Martin, talk to any of us. You'll get us real quick. And you'll go, I don't think I could work with you. Or you are definitely the people I want. And that's what happened with us. So we were Cuckoo Events for so long. We knew we needed a separate brand that just focused on safety. So you don't want to see Paint Glow when you're looking for a safety company. You don't want to see, we'll dress the ballroom in the Burlington. You want safety. So we did that. We launched a website and the next day got an email that probably changed our business, which was from a Saudi guy who had been watching us as Cuckoo, thought we might be the people he needed for safety, but wasn't sure, a bit confused by the Cuckoo website, confused by our offering, and already had a UK company he was engaged with for what he was trying to do in Saudi. As soon as we launched the Safe Events website, not the current one, the previous one, he emailed the next day, asked us to go to Saudi and help with a thing. We went to Saudi, we helped him with a thing, and we've gotten to know him since, and we understand now. He was connected with us on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Traditionally, I go through phases where I'm too busy and I'm not as active, but generally really active on LinkedIn. We've had a lot of business come through LinkedIn. He was connected to me on LinkedIn, thought we were the right people. As soon as we launched a dedicated website for our safety stuff, he went, you're definitely the right people. Got rid of the UK crowd, got us to go out there. We worked on multiple events with them over the years. And that brought us to the Middle East. So we never sit down. I'm not saying this is the right way. I'm not saying I'm correct. I'm saying this is what works for us. We don't sit down and target markets. We don't sit down and go, where do we want to expand to next? We like to grow organically. A bit harder to do that now when you have 25 people whose mortgages depend on you and all that. But generally, we like to grow organically. We have touring clients. We go where they're touring and we figure out those areas. And we like to grow it kind of that way. So we didn't say, let's go to the Middle East. We got an opportunity. We went there. We did good work, to be honest, and we got loads more work off the back of it. So that was us, our first international anything. Was doing a few bits in the Middle East over the year or two then, and then 2021, got a phone call early 2021 that has led to our business in the Middle East just skyrocketing. We have an office out there now, and it just went from, at the time we had 4 people, and we're 25 people full-time now, but one call saying we have this big show. I'm part of a group putting this big show together. We were told by multiple people, you're the guy to come in and do safety. Will you come on a call, see the rest of the team, see where we're at with the project, see how it feels to you, and we'd like you to maybe consider joining us on this madness. And did that. Some of the best people in the world were working on that show. I now understand how I got the phone call in the first place and all that. And we've just built a business off the back of that. I don't think we've built it perfectly. I don't think we've built it very purposefully, because I'm still a little bit stuck in the organic thing that I'm slowly getting out of. I think we could have leveraged some of what we've done out there more, maybe, is what I'm saying. We're getting better at that. We have a business development function now, all that kind of stuff. But we have just grown by doing good work and finding other clients that value the way we do what we do. Not everyone will. That's fine. There are options for those who don't value how we do it. We're a bit more premium. We can cost more. We're roughly the same. If we want the gig, we're roughly the same as what our competitors are. But what we offer, even on the digital side of what we do, that no one else does because we do that differently. The clients who value it really value it. We're working on projects in the Middle East now for mega cities that they're building, and they're designing festival grounds from scratch. It could be 2030 before the thing is ever built. But we're working on those projects now, informing design, doing concept master planning, detail master planning. So for us, I mean, it's what we shout about forever, right? It's what the safety people always tell you they want. Just involve us early. We're almost involved too early in some stuff now, but it's brilliant because we can shape it and avoid problems. You can build a beautiful festival site that made sense to everybody. But if you didn't have safety in there, you bring them in on show day -10 and we go, oh, Jesus, what have you done? And you can very quickly explain why it's a disaster. No one else had the focus and specialism to spot it earlier. So if you have us in there earlier, just some extra meetings, often it doesn't even cost more money. But it's extra earlier meetings and we go, oh, I wouldn't do that. I see why you want it, but let me tell you why we shouldn't. Let's do this instead. And the trick with us is because we're safety people who are also event people, we'll have the solution if there's a solution. We're not the no people. We have this thing about no lazy no's. If we ever say no, it's not lazy. It was considered. We looked at it. We tried some things. We don't see how it works. We're having to tell you no. And slightly more flippantly, I sometimes do say, gets me in trouble, but I sometimes do say, if we can't do it, probably shouldn't be done. Because we want to do the challenging stuff. We want to figure it out. It's the buzz we get from what sounds to everyone else listening to this as a really boring thing, safety. Safety for events is different. The way we approach it is different. We want to be part of amazing shows. Would you ever know we're part of them? Hopefully not. Maybe you do now because you're listening to this. But in general, we're in that background.
Where do you want to take this? What's the goal?
I just want to stay enjoying what I'm doing. I want to be able to pay a reasonable amount of people reasonably well to enjoy what they do. I don't necessarily need to have 100 staff. I never thought I'd have 25 staff. We grow as we grow. I want people to enjoy what they're doing, and I want people to get to experience things. If I can, I always say this, if I can pay bills and bring my family on holidays and have a decent life, I'm not looking to retire tomorrow. I'm not looking to be a billionaire. I love what we do, and I love that I can pay other people well to love what they do, if that makes sense. And I like the adventures. I wouldn't move to the Middle East full time, but I love going out there for periods of time. I love trying to grow and do fun stuff. I love the challenges of working with touring stuff and trying to figure out, okay, well, now you're going to go to China. Oh, here's what's different in China. So all that plan, 70% of that works now. We got to tweak that for you. So there's no great master plan. I'd love to tell you there was a master plan. I didn't plan to go to the Middle East, but I'm enjoying the journey. And if we can stay going and we stay this size forever and maybe kind of grew a client base or had some more interesting projects, I'd be happy there. I don't think that's our future. I think we're going to keep kind of growing and we'll have to keep adding to the team. I don't see another safety company that has a 6-person digital operations team. And I don't see another safety company that has a 3-person design team. Do you know what I mean? We do it differently, and that will suit however many clients at whatever value that suits. And that'll be us then whenever we hit that. And I'll be happy with that. And Martin will most definitely be happy with that. You know, we have families. We didn't set out to, I'm not going to be the guy who sold 4 businesses by the time I'm 50. Do you know what I mean? We're not that entrepreneur. That's not us. We love what we do. And we truly love that we can pay others to do the same thing because they love it. And I'd be happy. If you told me this is it now, you stay at this level, these people, you know, those people I just left to come over here and talk to you, they'll be happy. Everyone's happy. We love what we're doing. I'll take it. Thank you. Probably not what the entrepreneur should be saying to you, not what everyone else says.
Well, everyone's a different answer. That's why I enjoy asking
wherever
that question.
It goes.
Because I think it's important that there's no one way to make it, and then there's no one destination. I like when people just have their own answer. There is no right answer.
It takes only one breach, one single click to take down your entire business. Imagine your life's work gone like that. Cybercriminals know this, and they're targeting companies like yours every single day of the week. Nostra's Cloud Shield 365 is built to stop them. With Microsoft Business Premium, advanced threat detection, and 24/7 monitoring, we protect your data, your people, and your bottom line. Don't leave it to chance. Visit nostra.ie today. That's nostra.ie today, and see how Cloud Shield 365 keeps your business safe. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to share a game changer for your business, Azure Communications. When it comes to print and marketing solutions, these folks, led by CEO Jenny Johnston, are the real deal. Whether you need an eye-catching brochure, sleek business cards, or a full-blown digital campaign, Azure Communications has you covered. They're not just about high-quality prints or digital campaigns, they're also about delivering great results. And here's the best part. Just for listeners of the Entrepreneur Experiment, you can get 20% off your first order. Just give them a call or go online and use the code VOX20. With personalized service and fast turnaround times, Azure Communications will help you make the impact your business deserves. Trust me, when it comes to making your brand stand out, Azure Communications is the provider of choice. Check them out at azure.com.ie, use code VOX20 and elevate your marketing game today.
Quick fire round. What book should everyone go read?
My mother gave me a book when I was younger. It's called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It's about a seagull, but it's not a business book as such, but it's an allegorical tale about seagull wants to be different, wants to fly higher, wants to fly faster. All the other seagulls don't like this idea. He gets a little bit ostracized. Then they welcome him back. He trains them all how to fly higher and faster. I loved that book. I don't know why she gave it to me. I was probably 12, maybe early teens, she gave it to me. I've gone back to it multiple times as I've grown in life and grown in business, and I can see so much in it now. Like, follow your passion even if no one else gets it. Like, do it your way. And it's similar to what you just said. Like, the journey is the thing, not the destination. And that works for some people. And I know other people who it's all about the destination and they do well. It's just not the way I'm wired. And it's just it's short. It's like 100 pages, the one I had, but it's a really, really good book.
Definitely the first time it's been recommended.
I'd say so. And I would urge anyone to read it, because others will take stuff out of it that I didn't take out of it. But I can see now there's so much in it. And my mother is the smartest person I've ever met and will ever meet, I'd say.
She knew what she was doing. Nice. What's your superpower?
It is both a blessing and a curse, but I know instinctively exactly to the 5-minute window how long it'll take me to do something. So if I have an RFP I need to write a submission for, or if I have homework I need to do, or if I have an assignment I need to do, or actually I teach a course now, I have about 28 assignments I need to correct. I know to within 5 minutes, once I sit down to do that, how long anything will take me. And that seems like a great thing. And some days it is. It can mean you don't leave room for randomness sometimes. So, if that hadn't happened, I would have got it done, but that did happen. So I have to ease back on the superpower a little bit and sometimes pad it slightly. But I mean, if it's just up to me, if it's not a group thing, if it's me, Mark, you have to achieve X, I'll tell you exactly how long it'll take me. And I'm not wrong.
What daily habit is key to your success?
I don't think there's one. Show up. Genuinely. I would say just show up, because you'll have days you're on fire and you're getting things and you're making progress, and you have to leave days where you're just not feeling it. And again, it's probably not the right answer, but I'm a big believer in some days you're just not feeling it. I'll disappear off to the cinema some days because you have to shut your phone off in the cinema. Do you get me? And I used to do this in previous jobs, but I still occasionally, I don't know if my team in the office know I do this, but if I'm just not, my head's not,
now,
if my head's not in the game, or I'm just not, there's something I'm trying to get and it's not working and I need a break, it doesn't matter what's on. I'll find something I might enjoy, but it's about, can't be on the phone, can't be distracted. I just have to shut off 20 minutes. So I would say just show up. I don't think I do anything special. I don't think I should teach lessons on how to be an entrepreneur. I think I'm passionate about a very weird thing that we specialize in. And I think show up. You don't get it right all the time. Every day is not an amazing day, but I think you just have to keep showing up. It's easy to shut down too much, but give yourself the chance though. Give yourself a day where you go, it's not happening today.
What's the most interesting experiment you've ran in business or life?
In business, I would say going down the digital line with a lot of what we do. So long story short, we built a digital platform to help us deliver our service to clients, right? That has, over the years, grown into a 6-person department where we now develop and deploy digital solutions for people in the event industry who come across the way ours works on a show and go, we need a thing. Could your thing help on our thing? And we go, well, we'll build that for you. No problem. And so we now, to a degree, on a very small way, we're like also a digital product company. So in business, that's it. I think in life, my dad died in 2008. We had a great relationship, but a weird relationship. When I was doing, this comes back to my superpower. When I was doing my leaving cert, he said, smart man, how many points are you going to get? And I said, I'll get 500 points. I don't need much. I need a bit less than that, but I'll get 500 points. And he says, how are you getting that? And I told him exactly how I get 500 points. And he's like, bet you don't. Like, I'll get 500 points. This is how I have it figured out. Like, I got 495. And that was a great thing for us for years. He was able to lord that over me and stuff. And when he would tell me, you know, not in a bad way, but when he'd rise me, like, you won't do that. He did it one time. I applied for the guards because I told him I'd get in like the top whatever on the panel for the guards because I had watched what you have to do and I'd figured it out. He goes, no, you won't. Right, I went and did.
Was he always trying to just motivate you?
100%. But it's funny because like he's gone now, but he left a thing in me that when I looked at this, a question suddenly came to me because I did the test for Mensa in 2009, right? The year after my dad died. And again, I had told him, I think I'll do that for the crack because I think my brain's a bit weird. I said, I might be able to do that. And he goes, you'll never do it. Not you can't. He says, you won't bother. You won't do that. Like you're not into that. I went, no, but I've looked at this. I think my brain kind of works that way. And he says, nah, you won't. So again, within a year of him dying, I did it. And I was in a room with like little child geniuses and stuff. It's a very humbling, weird experience.
I can imagine you at a tiny desk. I'd love to see that.
It wasn't far off that. I wasn't the only grown up in there, but you know what I mean? And I didn't get it, right? I didn't get it.
It'd be better if you were.
I missed out by like, you're tested on 2 scales, right? I missed out by 1 point on each of them.
If you're only listening to this, go watch YouTube. He's a big unit. He would not fit in a child's desk.
Yeah, me at a small desk is hilarious. I should do an AI picture of that. That would be cool. But I missed out by 1 point, right? On each scale. So I didn't get into Mensa. And thought nothing of it again. I went, I was doing that for Dad. Oh, well, he was right. Grad. And then 2020, for some reason, it came back into my head. Literally, I cannot tell you why. I went, that annoyed me now. Like I did it because I knew how their testing worked and I thought I would nail that. I said, it didn't work. So I went and I did it again and I got in. But I had to look at it afterwards then and go, I only did it in the first place because Dad said I wouldn't bother. And then for some reason it annoyed me that I hadn't achieved what I thought I could. And again, this is the self-awareness thing. I was very sure, having looked at how the testing worked, that I would do well in that test. And I didn't. And I wouldn't say it bothered me for those 11 years. It never really came back into my brain. And then for some reason it did in 2020. And I went, I know I'm right. I know I was right. My gut is right. I know how to do those tests. I can do well there. And I got to do that again. And I had to go and do it again. And it was driven by the 2 things. It was driven by my dad kind of saying, you're not going to bother. And it was also driven by me going, it wasn't half-assed. I figured it out. I know how the testing works. I know what they're checking. Like, I should have done better in that. And it eventually came back into my head and I went, I have to do that experiment again. I have to. Was I wrong? Or did I just have a bad day? Or what was it? Because again, I understand. I played around with those tests. I know how they work. So I went back and I did it again just to see. And it was about, was my gut wrong the first time? Because I was struggling with that because I rely on it so much in business. I've said that to you. Like, I trust myself all the time. And I get that from my parents. So I was like, I didn't get it wrong. I must have just had a bad day. And eventually I had to rerun the experiment and figure out could I do it. You know?
I'm going to give you €1 million. You can invest in one person or one company. Who is it?
This is, and again, I love your pod and I listen to it, and this is not an answer you're probably going to like or whatever. My answer is I would hold on to that money for my daughters, because when I started the business, we didn't talk about this. When I started the business, I needed 30 grand. Martin needed to find 30 grand and we needed to buy that paint glow show. Like my mother was, 100%. Here's 30 grand. Here's how you're going to pay it back. Here's the money to help you buy the paint glow show. We could have started the business without the paint glow show, but I knew that was the answer. And she had that faith, that belief that just immediately, you want to do this? I believe it'll work. Off you go. And she always said, it won't work for the lack of effort. This is what you think you're going to do. And I have this thing and it drives me. Very little drives me other than my instinct. I have this thing and it's not rational, I don't think, but I have this thing. I want to be in a similar position for my kids. If it's set up a nail salon or if it's go somewhere for college, I just want to be in that position. I have invested in stuff. I have stocks and things like that. They do okay. We're doing fine now. I don't need to go set the world alight with another business for £1 million. I would, and I'm overly conservative that way, probably with money too.
That's a good answer.
I would
Invest in
keep
your daughters.
it for the girls.
Yeah,
and if they never need it, I'll have a great retirement. But that's what I would do.
It's the first time we got that answer, but I'll accept it.
Sorry.
What do you believe that other people strongly disagree with or think it's weird?
I have an unhealthy obsession with magazines. So that's weird. Like I'll go through 20 magazines a month, right? Reading them, looking at them. I'm very visual. And I have the belief element to that is there'll always be a place for print. I'm not the only weirdo. I know loads of people who still love print. And I'm a little bit extreme with it. I get that. But whether it's buying the Sunday papers, and I can read them all on my phone. I read loads of things on my phone. I love that I can read stuff on my phone.
It's a different experience. I would agree with you because it goes back to the physical versus the virtual. Yeah. I find when I read stuff on my phone, I read it differently.
Yeah.
I consume it differently. I remember it differently. Whereas if I'm sitting down with the paper or a book, a physical book, it's a very different brain
and that's it.
Experience.
That's 100% it for me. Now, again, I know I'm extreme. My wife, it happened today that I get magazines delivered from a service in a box. What dentists get for the waiting room, right? Like I have one of those where I get a selection of magazines that I enjoy reading. They all get delivered together. I'll still buy more ones that I can't get to there. But I mean, they arrived today.
What's your favorite magazine?
Picked them up in the office. I love Vogue. I love Harper's. I love the best magazines as a really rounded term.
Not expecting you to say Vogue.
They're women's fashion magazines. In everything that magazines do well, and I enjoy magazines for, women's fashion magazines do them all so well. Cover design, photography, everything, phenomenal. I read car magazines, I read motorbike magazines, I read loads of stuff. But the ones I'll open first when the box of magazines come will be probably Harper's and probably Vogue. Vanity Fair I get separately. There aren't many with better articles than Vanity Fair and in-depth kind of researched long form, that type of stuff. They're hard to find.
Very few places do long reads anymore.
They do. They still do it well. People who knew Vanity Fair, I understand back 20, 30 years ago, it's changed widely. They'll tell you it's nothing like it was. And I actually think that's probably true. But there's still great value in it for me. And I have friends that are as into kind of print and magazine and just reading, and they're creative writers and stuff. And we all still see value in Vanity Fair for the article stuff. But for lots of what makes magazines amazing, it's generally going to be women's kind of fashion magazines. There are very, very, very few men's magazines left as such. You know, GQ is there. It's very Esquire. They're still very. They're more modern man focused. They're great. There is a fashion element to them, so they're almost as good at some things as the women's fashion magazines. But
what's been your best investment?
Instinctively, my cheesy answer to this was myself and training and upskilling and stuff, which is slightly boring, but we have invested in, Martin and I have invested in another company that operates in our space, Halo Solutions, they're called, UK company. Invested because the people are amazing, invested because we use their product and have done since long before they were big. We've used them since 2017, believed in it, have seen it grow, loved the people that run it, have seen them do well. And then they went out looking for investment and we got in touch and go, look, how can we get involved? And for me, like I've got some stocks and stuff, like I don't really know what I'm doing there. Like I've got some stuff to keep me interested. But when something like Halo, which is a product we use, it helps us keep people safe all around the world on our events. It's like incident management software you use in event control, right? So there are others. This is for us, for our money, obviously by far the best one. And when they were looking for investors, Martin and I were like, we have to. And the trick for us is we understand the space they're in. Key for me, I have to. Like, I don't want to, it's like I don't bet on horses. What the hell do I know about horses? But I understand the space these people operate in, and we can have an impact on some of their success. Because we get a new contract, they need incident management. We say, look, this is the one we use. They're amazing. We believe in it so much. We invested in it. Have a look at it. It's brilliant. So we have some sort of input into how well it goes. So as an investor, that works too, naturally. But
what's been your worst investment?
Depends on your perspective. Some of what I spend money on won't make sense to a lot of people. Like, I have 3 motorbikes. It's a bit like women and shoes and handbags, and you go, oh, you can only wear one pair at a time. And it's a logical argument. So I've spent good money on motorbikes. I crashed one recently, but that's a whole different story. Investment wise, as in stocks and stuff, I haven't gone too far wrong, but I haven't put millions into anything. Do you know what I mean? So I like dabbling in things. I like spreading investments around a bit. I'm not overly heavily into anything, so if that goes wrong, I'm screwed. We've invested in stuff, again, as a business that's working well for us. But I think I do spend money. I'm odd. Like the magazine thing, if you added up the money I spend on them, that's probably a shitty investment. The motorcycles, probably. But until I had kids and holidays became a place I would switch off fully. And that's only in the last 9 or 10 years. The only place my brain could switch off from work, for better or worse, I'm not saying that's a terrible thing, but the only way and time my brain would switch off was driving a motorbike. Everyone's trying to kill you. Assume everyone's trying to kill you when you're driving a motorbike. The focus you need, it's a different level. So not thinking about work when I'm driving a motorbike.
Final question.
Yeah.
What's the best bit of advice you've gotten or given in the last 12 months?
Last 12 months. I got some good advice lately. I was having a challenge with a situation at work and some clients, and I spoke to a guy in the industry who I have great time for. We don't talk enough, but I need to talk to him more because he makes so much sense. But he told me, he says, stay focused, don't let it get to you, and follow the money. Which sounds a bit, without context, it sounds a little bit Machiavellian.
But it reads like a Pinterest quote.
It does. And I swear to God, maybe he got it from Pinterest and he's fooling me. But it hit home with me because what I was mired in at the time, it was a business thing. And straight up, I was taking something far too personally. I'm sensitive that way. So it was a business thing, but I was taking it personally. I was able to talk to Lloyd. He gets it. He understands the situation, everything. And we chatted, he let me talk, that was good. And he followed up with some messages after there was a little bit of a lull. Then we didn't talk for a day or two, and he followed up. He says, look, I've been thinking about, what's going on there. And I went, just focus. Like, don't let it get to you. And remember, and what he meant by follow the money or think about the money, it was that we were losing a piece of business with a client, but it was a tiny piece of the massive business we do with that client. And I hated it for kind of personal reasons and relationship reasons and the way they went about it and stuff like that. But he was like, still have a big chunk of business there. So don't let the personal pain, enjoy, revel in it for as long as you need to, whatever, but don't let it impact business-wise because you still have a big business with them. And people are people. Who knows why they carved out that little thing. But there's a lot they still need you doing and they've contracted you to do. So get over this, basically. He says it in a much nicer way, but essentially was get over yourself, put the personal aside, still a great piece of business that you have there and go and do it. Like you're dead right. And again, I'll have the self-awareness to go, shouldn't have been mired in that now. That shouldn't have been bothering me the way it was. But you're human. You can't stop it at the time, but people can help you get back out of it. And he made perfect sense. Just seeing it written down. I was on the phone for about an hour with him and we made some progress and I was able to talk it all out. But then just reading that and going, and I know him, he's a good businessman. He's been through some things and he's had experience. I was like, yeah, sure, dead right. And it's a stupid thing.
Where can people learn more about you and the business? I'm
the easiest man in the world to find on LinkedIn, in fairness. The business is Safe Events Global. The website is safeevents.ie. LinkedIn is the best place for us to find us and business. And it's the best place for anyone to find out about us. If you just want to figure out me, or if you want to find out about us as a business, they're kind of intertwined, and you'll either probably love how we do what we do and how we put ourselves out there, or you won't, but we know what we're doing that way and it works really well. So I'd say find me on LinkedIn. I always say as well, message me or whatever, get in touch. The worst that happens with me is I'm a bit busy and it takes me a day or two to come back. But the way my brain's wired, I get annoyed if I don't go back to people. So again, if we get this a lot with students trying to get into the industry and stuff, and to my detriment, I say this sometimes, and I can be flooded with things, but I get back to people. It's a great industry. People love it. They all want to get into it. Reach out. I'll do whatever I can. And if I can steer people or give advice, I'll happily do it. And LinkedIn's the best place to find me. The phone will have been beeping while I'm here. If it beeps on LinkedIn, I'll look at it probably immediately, unless I'm in the middle of something. So you'll get me quick there. Quicker than emails, probably.
Gent, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.